G'day, mate.
You got me?
You good?
Eddie?
How's things?
Yeah, not bad.
Have you got a camera or nah?
I do. It normally works. I'm not sure why it's not. Oh, here we go. How about that?
Hey, there you are, buddy. Hey. How's things?
Yeah, good. Is it a Ramwood rugby?
It is, mate. It is.
Yeah.
Not a sworn enemy of yours, is it?
I definitely didn't play for Ramwick.
No.
I was a West Harbour boy.
Right, yeah. No, a friend of mine lives over in Sydney, Raymond, and he's a Kiwi, but he lives over there, lives there for about 30 years. And when I went over to Brisbane a couple of years ago for a Blues game, he gave me the hoodie, so yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, basically what we're going to do is I'll introduce you and give you a chance just to have a bit of a chat before we get into the questions.
Yes.
So we're here as Paul from Blue Supporters for Life. First of all, Steve, I'd just like to, on behalf of all the members of Blue Supporters for Life, thank you for spending some time and coming having a chat with us today.
Nice.
You first came to New Zealand in 1999 from Australia. What was your reason behind the decision to come to New Zealand and play rugby here?
Well, initially, I just came over. I came over for the '98 NPC season. Junior Tanuhu was going to be away with the All Blacks, so Auckland were a bit short. So Graham Henry got me to come over. I came over. I played a trial match out on number 2 at Eden Park. And he said, come back. So I went back to Aussie for a couple more weeks and then came back over. But then the day I arrived was the day he announced he was going to Wales. So I was like, I might be heading back home again here. But so I played 98 NPC and then the Blues asked me to hang around in 99.
And did you ever think that when you came here and had played for for the Blues and for Auckland that you might ever don the All Blacks jersey?
Not initially. Initially, when I got offered, I had a contract to go back to the Brumbies. Then the Blues asked me to stick around. So I got in contact with the Australian Rugby Union, some guys on the board, and asked them, what should I do? Should I stay in Australia and sit on the bench behind George Cregan, which probably wasn't going to be very helpful for anyone's rugby career?
Not really, no.
Or should I go to Auckland and try and get a little bit of experience? And so they told me that I should go to Auckland, and everyone was playing in the same competition to get a bit of experience and see how it goes. So I signed with the Blues, and then about a month after it, Eddie Jones was the coach of the Brumbies. So he had a bit of a couple of angry phone calls towards me about choosing the Blues over the Brumbies. So he obviously got in the ear of Australian Rugby Union and they reversed their decision. They said that you had to be playing in Australia to be eligible. So I was like, well, that's pretty much ruined me for a couple of years. But then New Zealand Rugby Union got hold of me and said, if you're keen and able and want to, we're not promising you anything, but if you want to have a crack, then we're keen. So I had to, because I had no eligibility, I had to sign for 3 years to stand down. I wasn't eligible for the All Blacks, and I had to make myself available for them for 3 years. So yeah, that's what I did. That was
Cool. So you went on to become what a lot of people call an icon of the Blues and Auckland rugby. You played over 70 games for the Blues and 78 for Auckland, and I think 10 tests for the All Blacks, including the 3rd and 4th playoff in the 2003 Rugby World Cup. What was it that got you interested in playing rugby?
I didn't really. I was lucky enough to go to a boarding school in Sydney, so I didn't even know what rugby was until I was sort of 13, 14, and then they pretty much only had rugby. So I played a little bit of rugby league and a little bit of soccer as a kid, and then went to Joey's and they had rugby, so I was pretty much forced to play rugby and then I just really started to enjoy it. I played after school because I enjoyed playing with my mates, and it was just always a thing for me just to play with my mates and have a good time. I you know, as a kid growing up, you always wanted to, but I never really thought I'd make those top teams. And then sort of as I got to about 21, 22, things started to change a little bit. I was pretty small, so it took me a while to catch up to some of the bigger boys. And sort of 21, 22, I started to make a few teams and then found my way over here. So for me, it always was just about enjoyment. I enjoyed playing footy with the boys and having a few beers after the games, which was probably why I continued to play.
Sure. And if you hadn't been a rugby player, is there something else that you would have chosen to do as a like a career?
Well, I probably should have been a jockey, to be honest. But no, I was always into sport. You know, rugby was big. I pretty much enjoyed any sort of sport. Cricket. Probably would have got into fishing a bit earlier, maybe. So yeah, I just enjoyed sport, and rugby was just something that all my mates did. So I just tagged along, really.
Sure. And you obviously had a fairly long career with, you know, Auckland and the Blues. And what are your top 3 memories from playing for those 2 teams?
A lot of my good memories are from stuff off the field, but probably on the field, 2003 was a pretty special year.
Yep.
To win, I think we dropped 1 game. We're a pretty good team. 2007 was another good year. We played a semi-final. We had a pretty tough finish to the year. We had a semi-final in Durban that we just lost, but we probably got enough team to win that. We'd been to Africa, travelled back to Aussie, and then had to go back to Africa. So it was a pretty tough end of the season. We were a pretty solid team at that stage. So that was a good year, 2007. My first year, I guess, was just such an eye-opener. You know, 99, I was a kid and playing with these men like Robin Brooke and Craig Dowd, and it was just eye-opening as a kid to be able to be involved with some of those great names. And you know, Michael Jones was still kicking around, and Ronnie Clark was just it was just mind-boggling, really, to be able to get on the field and run around against those boys.
Sure. We're going to sort of come to the main reason why we're here now, and what you've been up to since you retired in 2007. I believe that the reason why you did retire was you'd had some concussion issues. Was there anything else? Was that the kind of the main reason that you did retire from international rugby or from professional rugby?
Yeah, I took a few too many hits to the noodle and started to suffer some pretty nasty consequences, I guess, from that. So I was forced into retirement in 2007. And then mate, I probably had 2 years off. I wasn't sort of well. I had a lot of migraines, pretty much almost daily for 2 years. So yeah, I was pretty unwell. I tried to kick around for a little bit, but I just really had to look after myself and get myself back to a state where I could manage myself and, you know, get through the day. So it was a tough couple of years, but sort of got through it and got some good treatment towards the end, which really gave me some huge relief. So once I got on top of it, I got back into managing. I managed the Auckland NPC team for 2 years,
yep,
from 2010 and 2011. That was good fun, but at the same time, it was also a little bit frustrating. I still felt like I wanted to play, so it was pretty tough to sit on the sideline and watch. And the team weren't performing that well at that stage, so I was even more frustrated that I couldn't get out there. I wanted to be out there, but I just wasn't able to. So I sort of felt like I had to get out of that because I was getting too frustrated. So at the end of 2011, I joined the fire service.
Wow. Yep.
So I went down to Rotorua. We had 3 months training down in Rotorua, and then so just before, I think Christmas Eve was my first day at work in 2011, and I'm still a fireman today. We just ticked over 10 years.
Wow.
Last month. So yeah, that's what I'm up to these days.
And what made you think, I want to be a firefighter?
I got young into the brother of a mate, and he was a fireman, and we just had a few chats about it, and I was really missing being involved. Like, I really enjoyed being in a good team, and so although I was back managing Auckland, I was involved in a team, but I wasn't really hands-on in the team, and that's what made it frustrating for me. So we had a good chat, and fire services are, it's a really good team. I don't want to say activity, but it's a really good team job. We rely heavily on the other people around us at incidents and calls. So I went and had a ride along. I did a night on the fire truck with them, and went to a few calls, and I was like, it's a really good team environment, and the boys really looking after each other. So I put my hand in, and had to go through all the testing, and it's a pretty rigorous process, but managed to get in and been there since.
Yeah, no, I was a volunteer firefighter for about 3 years down in Pukekohe. Obviously, not the same training schedule as what you would over the 3 months, but still did the basic firefighter at Mount Wellington and breathing apparatus down the line, and it was a lot of fun. And I get what you mean by a team environment and relying on each other as as a team.
Yeah, so I mean that's the bit I enjoy the most. We don't do a lot of fires these days. We do a lot of other stuff, but it's still a good little team environment. We work well together when the pressure comes on, which is the part I enjoy probably the most.
Sure. And have you been up, apart from being a firefighter, has there been much else you've been up to since you retired? And
mate, I've done a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I spent a couple of years with Jeff Thomas on his fishing show, Outdoors with Jeff. So I was cameraman and in front of the camera a little bit on that for a couple of years here and there. I did a little bit with Sky TV.
Yep.
Here and there with some sideline comments and those sorts of things. And I had a little rugby show for a couple of years, 2010 and 2011, I think. So that kept me busy on weekends. I've also, what else have I done? I quite enjoy my fishing, so I try not to get involved in too much so I can spend some time on the water. Mate, I've just done a little bit here and there and all over the show, and just sort of kick around a little bit now. I guess the fire services it's a great career for being for time off. We do shift work, 4 days on and 4 days off, so 4 days off a week to be a dad and try and get out and about and have a bit of fun is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can catch up and go for a fish sometime. Maybe we get a bit of free time, and when we're allowed to, I suppose.
Yeah, always keen for a fish.
For sure. I just want to touch on the Blues again. They've sort of come and they've started to, I guess, regrow, and they've started to show some real form in the last couple of years. How have you seen it as a former Blues man? Seen them been for you to see them doing so well lately?
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed the last couple of years. I think having Bowden Barrett back, I think it was just huge. I mean, the play, not a lot changed when he came back, but it was just a cool head under pressure.
Yep.
I often found the Blues would play well and sort of be in front at half time and then almost panic a little bit, and it was like, oh my God, we might win this, and then go into their shells and try and shut everything down and then get steamrolled because they were going away from the game they got them in front to start with. So I just think, you could see when he came back that all of a sudden that sort of pressure came on, and he'd just be a cool head and telling the young boys, just take a breath, we're still in this, and play the sort of footy they wanted to play, because they've always been expansive and they've always enjoyed throwing the ball around, which is good. And so having that old head there, something they probably missed for quite a few years, and they've been the turnaround team the last 2 years. They won the comp this year, which was pretty cool. So I mean it's great. I'm really looking forward to next year already with Bodie back. They've some of those young boys are really standing up. You look at the All Blacks now, Akira and Satutu. They're starting to really perform week in, week out, and that's I think where they've probably struggled over the years. Is they can get up for a big performance, but it's week in, week out. That's the difference of Super Rugby, being able to do it. 10 weeks out of 10. That's what separates the men from the boys at that level.
Yeah, and I guess in the past they've had issues where when they haven't done well, players have left. Now they've got players re-signing and players wanting to play for the Blues. You know, you've got the Blues had before tried to get Bowden Barrett. He'd declined. Now, we've got the young Anton Segner from Tasman coming north, and other good players that we've signed. So I think it's a good thing to see that these players are now staying, so that the culture seems to be in the Blues. It seems to be reforming as well.
Yeah, I think for a long time the Blues was the stepping stone to get offshore. Make the Blues and have a season with the Blues so you can pick up a contract offshore and make some money, which is good for the young kids, but not so good for the Blues. We're always, trying to redevelop. So, outstanding that a few of those boys decided to hang around, and that makes it easier picking up some young kids coming through the ranks. But once you've got a good core, of senior players that have been there and done it for a few years, week in, week out, then things can get better. And I guess that's what they always struggle to do. New coaches that come in and get rid of old guys and bring in some new guys, and it was just history repeating itself like year in, year out. It seemed for quite a while. So good to have a bit of continuity, I guess, and same coaches and some good staff and some good old heads kicking around teaching the young boys how to do things.
Yeah, for sure. And when you talked about the cool, calm heads, you look at that final this year against the Highlanders, and they led, and then the Highlanders got in front. In the past, I don't know whether you'd agree, but Blues teams maybe in the past would have gone, "Oh, we've lost this. We can't come back from this." But I felt that they remained calm, collected, and they slotted the penalties, and then they got that last minute try that won them the game. And that's what I see different too. So that I agree with you, where they kept it cool and calm to come back and win a final.
Yeah, I'm glad they won that, because I reckon that was the worst game they played all year.
Probably, yeah, actually.
They really didn't play rugby that day. They didn't do anything really, but I guess that's the making of a good young team, is that they didn't really play rugby or do anything, but got away with a win on a big occasion. So they would have been brutally disappointed if they lost it, but they were good enough to do what they needed to do and get away with it, which was bloody good.
Just going to touch back on your playing days. How important or how big a factor were the crowds to the way that the Blues played?
It adds to the build-up to the match. Personally, I found it added to the build-up. It added to the atmosphere before game. But once you ran out of that tunnel, it was you were focused on doing your job more so than worried about what was going on in the stands. We used to always, 2003 was full houses most of the time. So I was lucky enough to get those days. Our crowds, they were sort of 40, 45,000 most weeks when we were playing at home, because we were on a bit of a roll, and we had some good support. And so it was, it was easy. It was easy, and it was great atmosphere pre-game, and obviously having a few beers afterwards was also pretty good fun. But the crowds are good. It's good to know they're there. You can hear them. But I think if you're worried about them too much, you're sort of not focused on your job too much, and you're probably not in the right headspace to be performing as best you can.
Yeah.
Certainly good to have support pre and post match.
How much of an influence do you think Leon McDonald's had on the squad since he joined as coach?
Yeah, certainly a very good coach. Hasn't been a lot he hasn't won, so that's good to have him there. But again, an old head who's been there, done that, and just brought a bit of composure. And when tough gets going, you just need to put your head down and concentrate and take a breath and get on with it, I guess. So, I mean, in that respect, same with Tana. I think Tana in the defensive role is pretty good. As a head coach, maybe not so much, but Leon's certainly, I guess you'd say, a good communicator and has pushed the team. He's not scared to make big selections. You can see that with Akira and Hoskins through the last couple of years. He's decided to pick people on form, and whether that be the detriment to someone's reputation, he doesn't care. He'll pick on form, He's shown that, and I guess that's what gets players on side is if you know you've got a coach and you're playing well, then he's going to pick you and keep you there. So that's all the more reason to get yourself in a state where you can play well week in, week out.
Yeah. Well, Steve, on behalf of myself and the over 5,500 members we've got on Blue Supporters for Life, I'd just like to say thank you for sitting down with me today and having a bit of a chat. And have you got any messages, out there for all the Blue supporters that have been there, whether it be since last year or since 1996?
I've met a fair few of you over the years, and it's been such a great time. And I always enjoy getting back to Eden Park and running into a few of the old faces that I haven't seen for a while. And I'm glad you've all enjoyed the rugby this year because it's been a while coming, but it's it's been a great year. And the players do really appreciate your support. And it was, there were great memories. It seems a long time ago now, but it was great memories back in the day when we used to be able to catch up more often than not after a game and enjoy a drink and enjoy a good yarn. And they were great times. I'll always remember them. And any stage if I ever see anyone, don't be scared to say g'day, and we'll have a chat. And hopefully it's at a Blues game where everyone's enjoying themselves.
Awesome. Well, again, Steve, on behalf of everybody here at Blue Supporters for Life, thank you very much for your time.
Cheers. No worries. Catch you later, team.